It is September 14, 1963, Old Trafford, Manchester. 50,000 people fill the stadium. Cold air, light rain. Floodlights turn the pitch green. The announcer reads the team sheet. When he says, George Best, the crowd goes quiet. No one has heard that name before. In 90 minutes, no one will forget it. A 17-year-old boy from Belfast walks onto the pitch, the football field. He is small, thin. He has never played a professional game. 3 months ago, he was crying himself to sleep in a stranger's house. His hands shake. His heart races. He looks at the crowd and thinks, what am I doing here? A teammate passes him the ball. His first touch is perfect. The ball sticks to his foot like glue. The crowd gasps. This boy's name is George Best, a genius. Someone with extraordinary natural ability. In 90 minutes, the world will discover him. But 42 years later, that same genius will die alone in a hospital bed. This is not just the story of a footballer. It is the story of fame, addiction, and the price of talent. Today, you are not just learning English. You are learning the story of George Best, a boy from the streets of Belfast who became the king of football, then lost everything. You will learn vocabulary about success, failure, fame, and addiction. So sit back. Listen carefully. Belfast, 1946. The Second World War has just ended. Belfast, Northern Ireland is a small, poor city, divided by religion, with rare opportunities. If you are born poor here in 1946, you stay poor. On May 22, 1946, George Best is born in a small house on the Krieger Road. His father works at a shipyard, a place where massive ships are built. His mother stays home with the children. George is the first son. He has 4 sisters. The family is poor. No indoor bathroom. No hot water. Every Saturday, his mother boils water for a metal tub. The children bathe one by one. They wear hand-me-down clothes from older children. No luxuries. Just hard life. When George is 9, he plays football with older boys. They are bigger, stronger. They push him, kick him, laugh. But George does not cry. He dribbles, runs with the ball using small touches, past all 5 of them. He scores. The older boys stop laughing. One says, that boy is not normal. The streets of the Krieger estate, rows of small brick houses, are where George learns. He plays until dark. The other boys are good, but George is different. When he gets the ball, something changes. He has an obsession. He cannot stop thinking about it. From the moment he can walk, the ball is at his feet. He kicks it against walls. He dribbles through streets. He practices for hours, alone in rain and cold. His mother calls him for dinner. He does not come. His father orders him inside. George says, just 5 more minutes. Then he practices another hour. When he is 8, his father buys him new boots. Too big, they hurt. George wears them for 3 days without taking them off. His feet bleed. He keeps playing. This is the first lesson. Obsession. Pure, unstoppable obsession. He does not play for money or fame. He plays because he loves it. The ball is his best friend. He's not the biggest or strongest, but he is something no one can teach. Control. People who see him say, that boy is special. But being special is not enough. You need opportunity. For George, that door opens when he is 15. 1961, the scout. Bob Bishop, a scout for Manchester United. Someone who looks for talented players, travels to Belfast. He hears about a small boy with incredible skill. He goes to watch. Bob sits in the rain. He has seen hundreds of boys, none special. Then a small boy gets the ball. Bob leans forward. The boy dribbles past 3, 4, 5 players. He makes them look still. Bob turns to the man next to him. Who is that boy? George Best. He is 15. Bob sends a telegram, a short message sent by wire with 6 words. I think I have found a genius. Those 6 words change everything. Matt Busby, Manchester United's manager, invites George for a trial, a test, to see if he is good enough. After 2 days, Busby knows. This boy is extraordinary. George signs for Manchester United at 15. He leaves his family, his home, his friends. He moves to a big city where he knows no one. Homesickness and sacrifice. Imagine leaving everything at 15. Your mother, father, sisters, bedroom, school, friends, all for a dream. George gives up his childhood. In return, he gets the world. But the beginning is hard. George is homesick. He misses his family, feels lonely. He cries at night. He wants to return to Belfast. Manchester United has a rule. Young players live with local families. George lives with Mrs. Fullaway, who is kind, but he still feels alone. One day, he runs away. He goes to the train station, buys a ticket to Belfast. He is ready to give up forever. At the last moment, he stops. He thinks about his father's pride. He thinks about the hours of practice. He thinks about the telegram. Genius. He tears up the ticket. He goes back. He keeps going, keeps practicing, keeps getting better. The debut September 14, 1963. Then, on that cold September day, everything changes. George plays his first game for Manchester United's first team, age 17, against West Bromwich Albion. He does not score, but everyone in the stadium knows. This boy is different. The world begins to notice. The fifth Beatle. George Best is not just a great player. He is beautiful. Long dark hair, handsome face, a smile that makes people fall in love. Girls scream like he is a pop star. Boys want to be him. Parents admire him. The media, newspapers, television, radio cannot get enough. They call him the fifth Beatle. The Beatles are the most famous band in the world in the 1960s. To be called the fifth Beatle means you are as famous as the most famous people. George is 19. He's the most famous teenager in Britain. But fame is a dangerous drug. It makes you feel powerful, invincible, like nothing can hurt you. But it also makes you blind. When George signed in 1961, footballers earned little more than factory workers. His father made £12 a week at the shipyard. George made £15 a week as a professional. Not much more. But by 1966, everything changes. The maximum wage ends. Television discovers football. A young, handsome genius becomes a global star, and no one knows how to handle it. In the 1960s, fame is like being trapped in a room with no doors. You can see the world outside, but the world can also see you. All the time. 1966, the game that changed everything. Let me take you to a specific moment. 1966. George is 20. Manchester United plays Benfica, a famous Portuguese team, in the European Cup quarterfinals. This is one of the biggest games of the season. The game is in Lisbon at Estádio da Luz, the Stadium of Light. 80,000 people fill the stadium. The crowd is loud. The atmosphere is electric, full of energy. The Benfica fans sing and wave flags. The noise is so loud George cannot hear his teammates. Benfica is the best team in Europe. They have Eusebio, one of the greatest footballers ever. Everyone expects Manchester United to lose. But George does not care about expectations. He plays the game of his life. He scores 2 goals. He runs past defenders like they are not there. He makes the best team in Europe look ordinary. One moment people still talk about. George receives the ball near the halfway line. 3 defenders surround him. He does not pass. He starts running. A defender dives. George moves the ball to his left. Another comes. George pretends to pass, then keeps the ball. Past 2 men. The 3rd defender tries. George does something with his foot no one can explain later. The ball goes one way, the defender the other. George is alone. He shoots. The ball flies into the top corner. The crowd is silent. Manchester United wins 5-1. After the game, Portuguese newspapers call him O Quinto Beatle, the 5th Beatle. The name spreads across the world. The front page of every newspaper the next morning has one word, Genie. George Best becomes a global superstar overnight. But here is the truth no one said that night. Genius does not save you. It only makes the fall harder. The dark turn. Now listen carefully. Let me give you a specific example of what fame did to him. One day, George walks into a restaurant in Manchester. He is 21. Within 5 minutes, a crowd gathers outside the window. People press their faces against the glass, wave, scream his name. George cannot eat. He must leave through the kitchen. That night, he signs 2,000 autographs. His hand bleeds, but he keeps signing. He cannot say no. That is the problem. When was the last time someone told you no? For most of us, it happens every day. Parents, boss, partner. But for George Best, no one said no. He was too famous, too valuable, too talented. That silence, that absence of no destroyed him. The drinking starts. One Tuesday morning in March 1967, George walked into training still wearing last night's shirt. His eyes were red, his hands unsteady. Matt Busby looked at him. He said nothing. He just turned and walked away. That silence was permission. First a glass of wine after a game, then a few beers, then whiskey, then every night. He misses training. He arrives late for games. He argues with his manager. He starts to believe he is bigger than the club. The club protects him. They hide his mistakes from the newspapers. They make excuses. He is young. He will grow up. He does not change. He gets worse. 1970, the night before the big game. I need to warn you. The next part is difficult to hear, but it is the most important. 1970. Manchester United has a big game the next day. They need to win. The night before, George does not go home. He does not rest. Instead, he goes to a party, a nightclub in central Manchester. Dark room, loud rock and roll, people drinking, women dancing on tables. George sits in a corner with a bottle of whiskey. His teammate calls at 2 in the morning. The barman answers. George, telephone for you. George takes the phone. His teammate's voice is worried. George, where are you? We have a game tomorrow. George laughs. Don't worry. I am George Best. I can play with a hangover, the sick feeling after drinking too much. He stays with a woman he just met. He does not sleep. The next morning, he arrives at the stadium late. Eyes red, smells of alcohol, can barely stand. Matt Busby sees him. George, you cannot play today. You are not fit. But George insists. I am fine. Let me play. Busby, who loves George like a son, lets him play. George plays the worst game of his career. He cannot run, cannot think, can barely touch the ball. Manchester United loses. After the game, newspapers find out. They write that he is wasting his talent, destroying himself. But George does not listen. He keeps drinking. The moment George loses his last friend. One night, his teammate Bobby Charlton finds George at a bar. Bobby survived the Munich air disaster of 1958, a plane crash that killed 8 teammates. He knows what it means to lose everything in 1 second. Bobby sits down. George, you are killing yourself. George laughs. Bobby, I'm living. You are the one who is dead. Bobby stands up. He walks away. He never tries to help George again. Bobby had seen death. He survived a disaster that killed 8 friends. He was trying to save a young man, destroying himself slowly. But George did not want to be saved. Bobby, who had seen so much death, could not watch another friend die slowly. This is the moment George loses his last real friend. Talent is not enough. Discipline, the ability to control yourself and do what you need even when you do not want to, is what separates the great from those who almost were. George Best has more talent than any footballer of his generation, but he does not have discipline. Slowly, his talent begins to disappear. The decline. Let me tell you about a specific game. 1971, Manchester United versus Chelsea. Cold Saturday afternoon. 60,000 people come to see George. George arrives late. He did not train all week. He was in London at a nightclub drinking champagne with models. He walked into the dressing room at 2:15 p.m. The game started at 3:15 p.m. The game started at 3. Milk had curdled in his stomach. His hands shook. The game begins. George cannot run. He cannot control the ball. After 20 minutes, he is substituted, taken off, and replaced. The crowd boos. They shout, "You are a disgrace, George." He walks to the bench. He does not look at anyone. He puts a towel over his head. He cries. This is the moment George realizes something terrible. He is no longer the best. He is just a drunk who used to be good. Retirement, 1972. In 1972, at age 26, George announces he is retiring from football. He sits at a table, tired, looking older than 26. I am retiring, he says. I'm retiring, he says. A reporter asks, why, George? You are the best in the world. George does not answer. He walks out. No one sees him cry. The world is shocked. How could someone so young, so talented, just walk away? But George knows something the world does not. He is not happy. All the fame, money, women, glory, none of it makes him happy. He is empty inside. Pause for a moment. Think about the last time you achieved something you worked hard for. A promotion, a test score, a goal. How did you feel? Happy? Proud? Imagine that feeling never lasts. Imagine every achievement leaves you empty after one day. That was George Best. He had everything the world offers, but not what the world cannot give: peace. He tries to fill that emptiness with alcohol, but alcohol only makes it deeper. The comeback attempts. George tries to come back. He plays for other clubs in America, Scotland, Australia, but he is never the same. In 1976, he plays for the Los Angeles Aztecs. The stadium holds only 10,000. In Manchester, he played in front of 60,000. Now, a few thousand. For a moment, the old George returns. He receives the ball near the corner flag. A defender runs toward him. George does a feint, a fake move, and the defender falls. The crowd gasps. George scores. For one moment, the genius is back. But after the game, George goes to a bar. He drinks until 4 in the morning. The next day, his manager finds him. George laughs. What are they going to do? Send me back to Manchester United? The genius is still there, but the discipline is gone forever. In 1984, at age 37, he plays his last professional game. A sad end. The greatest talent of his generation wasted. But the story does not end there. It gets worse. The darkest years, 1990s. In 1990, George is arrested for drunk driving after drinking too much alcohol. 2 in the morning, London streets wet with rain. George drives his white Jaguar too fast, cannot see straight, hits a parked van, metal bends, glass breaks. Police smell alcohol. They put him in the back of the car. The next morning, his picture is on every newspaper. The headline, Best Arrested. His son Callum sees it at school. Other children point, your father is a drunk. Callum is 9 years old. In 1995, his wife leaves him. She takes Callum. George moves into a small apartment. No furniture, sleeps on a mattress on the floor. He drinks every day. In 1998, he is arrested again for hitting a man in a bar. He loses control. He pays £5,000. His health gets worse. Liver problems, kidney problems. His face is swollen, larger than normal from sickness. His hands shake. He looks 20 years older. But he cannot stop drinking. A reporter finds George in a small London pub. He is drinking alone, wearing old, dirty clothes, face swollen. The reporter asks, George, what happened to you? George looks at him with sad eyes. I had the world at my feet, and I kicked it away. This is one of the saddest sentences in sports history. George knew what he had. He knew he was special. He knew he was wasting his talent. But awareness, knowing the truth, is not the same as power. Knowing was not enough. The liver transplant, 2002. In 2002, at age 56, George receives terrible news. His liver is failing. Years of drinking have destroyed his body. He needs a liver transplant, an operation where a damaged organ is replaced with a healthy one from a donor, a person who has died and given their organs. George receives a new liver on July 30th, 2002. He promises everyone, I will stop drinking. I will change my life. His son Callum visits. George takes his hand. I am going to change. This time it is real. Callum wants to believe him, but he has heard this before. For a few months, George keeps his promise. He stays sober, not drinking alcohol. He looks healthy, happy. People believe he has changed. But he has not. Within a year, he is drinking again. A photograph appears in a newspaper. George sitting in a bar, a glass of wine in front of him. The headline, he promised, he frown, his DAC, he lam. His doctors are angry, his family broken-hearted, fans disappointed. Why would someone who received a second chance at life throw it away? Alcoholism is a disease. It is not a choice or weakness. It is a sickness that takes control of your mind and body. George cannot escape, get away from it. But you cannot escape yourself. The problem is inside, not outside. The end. November 25th, 2005. Imagine a cold room, a single bed, the sound of a machine. On November 25th, 2005, George Best dies in a London hospital. He is 59 years old. His family is not beside him. The millions of fans who adored him are not there. Just a man who had everything and lost it all. The world mourns, feels deep sadness. In Belfast, streets are lined with people. They stand in the rain, hold signs saying, Our George, cry. The funeral procession moves slowly. People throw flowers, clap, sing songs George loved. The church is full. Outside, thousands stand in silence. They remember the boy from the Craiga estate, the boy who made a ball dance, the boy who made them proud. But they also remember the tragedy, the talent wasted, the life destroyed. One woman holds a sign. "We forgive you, George." That is the saddest part. There's nothing to forgive. He was not a bad man. He was a broken man. In Manchester, fans place flowers at Old Trafford. They remember the genius, the fifth Beatle. And they ask the question still without answer. What could he have become? 3 lessons from George Best's life. Why did I tell you this story? Not just for English practice. Not just to learn about a footballer. George Best's life teaches 3 lessons. Lesson 1. Talent without discipline is dangerous. Remember the night before the big game in 1970? George partied all night, played terribly the next day. One night of pleasure cost his reputation. Now think about the 1966 game, the greatest night of his career. He had trained, focused, prepared. That was discipline. But after that, he stopped using it. Talent is a gift. Discipline is the wall that protects your talent from your ego. Without discipline, talent is a car without brakes. You go fast, but you cannot stop. Lesson 2. Fame amplifies what is already inside you. Remember the restaurant scene? People pressed their faces against the glass. He couldn't even eat. Fame did not create his loneliness. It just made it louder. George was one of the first global football celebrities, a famous person known by many. The 1960s had no rules for handling fame. Fame is not the problem. What is inside you is the problem. If you are empty, fame makes you emptier. If you lack discipline, fame destroys it. Lesson 3. You cannot escape yourself. Remember the train station when he was 15? He tried to run home to Belfast. He bought a ticket. He almost escaped. But the problem was not Manchester. The problem was inside him. And remember that reporter in the London pub? George said, "I had the world at my feet, and I kicked it away." George tried to run, traveled the world, partied, surrounded himself with admirers. But he could not escape the voice inside his head. You can move to a new city, change jobs, leave family, but you cannot leave yourself. Your problems follow. The final question. Remember the 17-year-old boy who walked onto the pitch at Old Trafford? September 14th, 1963. His hands shaking, heart racing. He had the world at his feet. He asked, "What am I doing here?" 42 years later, that same boy, now a broken man, died alone in a hospital bed. Between those 2 dates lies a story of genius, fame, addiction, and the price of talent. The question George leaves us is not what if. The question is, what now? What will you do with your talent? Will you protect it with discipline, or will you let fame and emptiness destroy you? The answer is not in this story. It is in your life. Call to action. Tell me in the comments, write one word, time, talent, or dream. Which one are you most afraid of wasting? I'll share my answer in the next video. Write it now. Just one word. Subscribe to this channel. Every week, we bring you stories of the greatest figures in history, told in simple, clear English, so you can improve your language and your understanding of the world. George Best had every advantage: talent, fame, opportunity. Next week, we meet a woman who had none of those and still changed the world. The story of Emmeline Pankhurst, arrested 13 times, called a terrorist, but she changed the world. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.